the one thing that does creep me out, in what you're talking about, Joey, and I don't know if you've experienced this, is those like eerily specific Facebook ads after you've been talking about something,
Yeah.
a week ago, and all of a sudden, you're talking about longboarding on, Pacific Beach, and then all of a sudden you have an ad on your Facebook that says, "Why don't you want to go longboarding on Pacific Beach?
Yeah.
Like try Priceline." Have you ever had any run-in with something like that?
Yes. Yes, I have. But again, it's one of those things is when you don't know what it's coming from. You know what I mean? You don't know if it's from your smart home. You don't know what your phone even, if it's listening to while you even have it just stand by. You don't know.
So I actually just recently got into a conversation with someone about this particular thing because he was talking to someone and he was talking about a red dress, and the next day an ad for a red dress on Facebook popped up. Yeah. And we got to this long-term thing about the way that these systems work. He's like, I've never looked up anything with a red dress before. Like I look up cars and I look up whatever other stuff he looks up, and that's just never something he searched for. So long story short, we ended up getting into a bit of a debate about it because he was convinced that his phone was listening. So there's a bunch of research firms that investigated this phenomenon because there's people talking about it. So obviously, if you have a device, can't tell Google or Facebook or anything if it doesn't have a wireless connection. So that was number one. So the first thing was to isolate all the wireless connections from the device and see if I'm going to talk about this, if I'm going to say this, if I'm going to do this, what is the phone doing? And there's plenty of ways to test that. So what they found was it's not. So then people are now asking, okay, well, if that's the case, for those who believe that, if that's the case, then how is this happening? Well, coincidences do happen from time to time. And you got to think to yourself, how many times have you been talking about something and then it not showed up on Facebook? Like we're talking about podcasts right now, and I don't see any ads for podcasts. And I'm not even searching for podcast stuff.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah. What you got?
Today I got a thing actually saying do a podcast class for $45.
I mean, you've been looking up podcast. I mean, it's
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
no,
it's interesting.
It's coincidence.
It's funny you say. Yeah, it's funny you say that. So the thing that's interesting with the way that Google and stuff works is this, and I don't want to. There's a huge technical part of this. We're talking about smart home devices, but this is an interesting talking point. Neural networks have become incredibly good at figuring out patterns in people's behavior. So next August, a neural network will probably figure out what mood you're going to be in. Are they that sophisticated yet? I don't know. But every single time you're scrolling down Facebook, when you stop, that action's recorded. And they're looking at what you stopped, what time it was, who you know, what they're doing. And it's this big correlation of networks. And there's a huge issue with that being used for political stuff. And that's not related to smart home, but it's an interesting thing when you talk about security. People are engaging in Facebook and stuff like that, but they're scared of a camera. It's like, I could find way more out about you by going into your computer than your home camera is ever going to tell me.
Oh, you don't want to see.